There's been a movement for indoor growers to begin using organic nutrients versus synthetics. The reason being is now organic nutrients have a new technology using biology to get the effects that you would get from a synthetic nutrient, but still has all the intrinsic values that an organic nutrient would have, giving you better taste, better aroma, better quality overall, but still achieving the yield that growers expect.
Thank you for logging on to monstergardens.com. We have a really awesome product line that we're going to be covering today. And here we have the expert of that product line, which is Scott from Oregon's Only Organics. And they've produced one of the best organic nutrient lines that we've come across. So Scott, this awesome line, Nectar for the Gods, so this is where the entire nutrient line begins. What we have here is 4 different bottles, which makes up really the base nutrient in essence.
Yep. Present on this table right now is our original 4-pack. It was our base grow, bloom, our catalyst with a bloom enhancement. They're all very effective. They're all super digested and ready to go and available for the plant to use. So originally, when our customers were looking for a better organic nutrient line, they didn't want something that was all stabilized with salts. They wanted something that was available not only to the plant, but also a microbial field in the soil. We kind of broke it all down. We started making things that we consider a digest, a hydrolysate digest or an enzymatic digest. So to start off, Medusa Magic, it's a 252. Our nitrogen comes from a protein hydrolysate form. It's the simplest form of protein we can strip off of feather meal. It is the most gentle form of nitrogen you can put into a plant. Very hard to burn, very hard to get it to stress the plant out or stretch the plant out from a nitrogen growth. In this product, we use all sorts of different meals. We use some soybean meal, feather meal. We use a lot of bone, a bunch of yeast for microbial activity, tons of worm castings, humic acid made by BioAg, which is the full power people. It's our grow formula, basically. It's a 252, aggressive for growth, gentle on the microbes, gentle on your mycorrhiza.
All right, Scott, so I look at a lot of grow labels and I see this term, it's urea nitrogen. Can you explain to us some differences of the nitrogen that's derived in your line versus other lines that have this urea nitrogen?
Urea nitrogens, or your high nitrates, are usually really high in salts. They're high in water molecules. They promote growth, and that's it. Not health, not strength, not cell structure. They promote water intake into the plant. Urea is probably the worst form of nitrogen you can give a plant, especially if you're susceptible to pests or molds or mildews. Those are actually feeding those problems in your garden. We chose not to use any form of salt or any form of nitrate or urea when generating or manufacturing these products.
Organic line, the nitrogen typically has to take some time in order for the plant to be able to assimilate it. Is there any difference with your organic nutrient versus other organic nutrients that people might have seen on the market in regards to how fast the plant can get access to it and assimilate it?
Yeah, great question. I think the nitrogen, basically, all nitrogen can be fixed in the plant naturally. The healthier that plant is, the more it's going to be able to take up those type of nutrients. What we do is we base everything that we have created on a calcium molecule. Through chemistry, calcium is the most active element that we can put into a plant. It carries the most nutrients into a plant and creates the most bonds with other elements in the soil to become available for the plant. We've chosen that protein version of nitrogen and all through extraction off of the feathers because it's the simplest nitrogen molecule we can get naturally and so available. So it does not need to be broken down. You can foliar feed it. It can be immediately absorbed into the plant. It's one of the most unique nitrogens available to us. And it comes from an animal protein, so you're getting a little bit faster acting than if, let's say, if you were to use like an alfalfa or some form of plant material nitrogen-based protein. So to us, it's getting it in there salt-free and high energy-free. The next one would be what we would have called our base bloom, which is Gaia Mania. It's really strong in bone meal. That's what we get the 151 off of that. The 5% is from a bone meal called calcium phosphate. The unique thing here is we break all of our meals down. There's a lot of the similar ingredients between the two. The difference is the concentration loads between them. This one, it carries a way higher phosphate load in the aspect of bone meals, and this one uses a lot more worm castings for the microbial and the humic extraction we get off of worm castings. So it's a great stimulator. It's I call it a vitamin B12 shot for your plants. If you have something stressed out, this definitely helps them bring them back into a healthier state. One of the key components to this one would be the chicken livers that we digest to make this product. It has a very interesting vitamin load, enzyme load, and it just brings into the health of the plant. You know, it's a basic grow bloom formula, very simple, very natural, the nice thing about them is you're never going to get the elongation and the stretching of it. You're going to get compact, heavily branching, compact growth with really strong cellular structure. It's basically just a simple bloom. The chemist who designed this, Frank Wan, he made this as his standalone nutrient for people who just wanted to add a couple capfuls into a gallon. Great success from just that, but from that we've evolved into fine-tuning each and every one of the different aspects of the plant's growth and then created something just for that process.
So you said this is pretty much derived from chicken livers. Is that
one of the active ingredients?
That's one of the active ingredients?
Yeah.
And the chicken livers promote, it's a protein based.
It's protein and enzyme and vitamins. And there's so many vitamins in chicken livers, vitamins A, B, C, E, and B2 and B12. So to be able to extract that out and put it into a solution where the plant can uptake it through a calcium load, they go into the plant and generate overall big health.
Okay, so we've got pretty much those are the main food supplements other than the next one, which is the Herculean Harvest. Would you consider that the last food supplement or major food supplement in the...
Definitely. I mean, if I had to pick one product out of the entire line to use all the time, start to finish, would be the Herculean Harvest liquid bone meal. It's really unique to the industry as far as availability. It is a pure liquid bone digested with a fulvic acid extraction. We basically break down this product into its finest protein and calcium phosphate form, down to its finest form in powder. We fill the tank with that and acid, fulvic acid, and wait for the digestion to occur. This takes 8 weeks to process through a tank system. We've gotten the same fulvics and humics as the rest of the industry. We've searched high and low, and quality is not there. We got in touch with the folks at BioAg, ran tests and samples of all their product line, and we've never seen anything cleaner, more bioactive, more readily available, and then when it hits calcium phosphate or our calcium line, it is outstanding at the results of digestion it does. Because of their enzymatic digestion here, it speeds up our process in digesting the bone meal for the bottles. We've been in the industry long enough, we've tried every product. We get really frustrated at the end of each day when we can't figure out why my quality's not there, my yield's not there. You know, plant health is plant health, and if you can't give them exactly what that plant needs, you're just cheating yourself in that plant. To us, we cut no corners. It's not a cheap venture for us to create what we create, but it's a passion, and it's being able to stand behind a product. So not only the importance of Herculean Harvest, you'll see it in our feeding schedule. It is start to finish. We don't believe that this 0-10-0 is going to promote flowering early. It's not going to trigger your plant to do anything it's not supposed to do at the time. But it's offering the most available form of calcium for your plant to produce its cells as it grows all the time. The number one element that a plant needs for growth and health is calcium. It's the biggest thing in all living forms is calcium, and our industry lacks calcium. This start to finish, even with any other line that you'd be using, whether it's Botanicare, Advanced, whatever you decide, calcium is going to be your best friend and make that a better plant.
Scott.
Yeah.
What do you use as your nutrient flushing solution at the very end of your cycle with Nectar for the Gods?
I use Herculean Harvest. I use the liquid bone meal, pH adjusted with the Olympus Up. I do that because calcium phosphate from the bones will actually create a bond with the sodium inside the medium, or whatever medium you're using. That bond will lock up the salt, create a new compound that will tie up in the medium, waiting for a microbe to come through consuming the calcium, releasing that sodium as a molecule, whether it's a protein, an enzyme, or an acid. The other major thing on flushing at the end is, instead of pumping water into your fruit for the last 7 days, trying to eliminate a flavor that you can't possibly get rid of, bone meal will continue to fill your fruit with a rock. Bone is a rock, limestone's a rock, calcium in every form is a rock. So if I'm flushing with bone meal towards the end, I'm forcing rocks up into the fruit, which will then fill in all the little voids inside that fruit, making it a harder, more dense fruit at the end. The only aroma being masked is that of the chlorophyll that you grew. Instead, you're going to get the essence of what that rose should smell like.
To mitigate some of the high EC or the high salt content in my medium.
You'll totally get rid of the high EC, high salt content, and the nice thing about all of that aesthetics that we look for in the final product, calcium is the driving force between that sugars and the flavor and the aromas. So that last week, instead of trying to flush out all that magnesium nitrate you've been pumping in for the last 8 to 10 weeks, this will kind of combat that magnesium spark or snap and dull that down with a calcium sugar. If you're using a 3-part synthetic or mineral-based and you wanted to add a calcium load into it, what I recommend to people is, feed as normal, every other week, minimally every 2 weeks. Just do a bone meal flush with the pH up. That's going to add in all the calcium that your 3-part doesn't have, that's not in nitrogen form, so you're getting the calcium phosphates and all the calcium proteins. You're desalinating the medium in that 2nd week period, offering your plants more nutrition for the next following 2 weeks. It'll create more aggressive growth, more nutrient uptake in the plant. Most importantly, your CEC will increase in your soil, the cation exchange capacity, which will then promote protein pumps in your plant's root system to start taking in more natural nutrients from the medium as they're being broken down. So yeah, every 2 weeks I would recommend doing just a simple flush with the bone meal. The nice thing about the flush is you're desalinating, you're fixing your pH in your medium, and more importantly, you're putting calcium into the plant that it desperately needs. The stimulator, the tongue depressor for the root stomata, what allows the rest of these proteins and enzymes to actually reach into the plant and be allowed to be brought up. Zeus Juice is basically water-free.
Yeah.
We've basically filled our tank with, again, BioAg makes a liquid humic acid for us. Again, it comes down to that humic acid source. It's not all the same. Even in the same vein, 100 feet to 100 feet, it's going to be a different humic acid vein. So we've sourced with them. We fill up our tanks with their humic acid pure. We top it off with their fulvic acid in a pure form, and then we add in our own amino acids and vitamin load. This is our catalyst. This is, I guess, liquid karma, if you will. We're interested in the line. We're looking for a supplement or a replacement for products such as liquid karma or fossil fuel. This would be another angle at that, but being in the pure humic digest. So a little different delivery system. It's not a phosphoric acid wash. It's a enzymatic digestion to create these humic acids.
And what is the big difference there?
Between chemical washing and enzymatic?
I'm asking this for the growers at home, obviously.
Yeah, clearly. It's the bioavailability to the plant. You get too many of those chemicals that are stripping off all of the minerals and elements off of humics and fulvics. You're actually destroying a lot of those compounds before they can get into the plant through an acid wash.
So you have your food and your vitamin complex in a plant readily available form. It's all natural, basically.
Yeah,
So the plant's getting access to these elements faster than they would, and if you were building a soil blend.
Building your own soil like a super soil, where you're pumping in all that blood and guanos and all these different levels of NP and K. The hard part there is that you're not a plant, so you don't know what day you need what element and what ingredient, and so you're stacking this whole thing up with just too much nutrition. The plant is getting whatever's soluble, and that may or may not be what it needs that day. The nice thing about taking those same exact meals that those people build in those super soils out of, we take all that same organic material, and we become the microbe, and we digest it down so it is 100% available.
And I wonder how long it takes for a lot of those elements to break down in the soil, and I imagine it's not happening in an 8 to 12 week flowering cycle.
None of them are. I mean, if you have a good organic vegetable garden outside, you're feeding in the fall for next spring and summer.
I see.
Because you need it to start breaking down. The guys who use green sand, I'm just, for what?
Yeah, what does it take? Like how many months?
12, 14 months
Oh,
before
wow.
you get any trace mineral off of that.
So for those guys at home that say, you know, I'm doing it organically myself, I'm building my own soil program, know this, that these are, yes, the same NPK elements, but these are enzymatically or biologically digested, so they're plant readily available, and your plant does get access to them a lot faster when it needs it. It's also probably a better balance than a lot of guys that are making their own soil blends at home, because let's just admit this, unless you have a really nice soil mixer, you know, there's going to be pockets of things that are going to be...
There'll be veins, and then you'll have to make sure your calcium load's there, and calcium's insoluble, so good luck with that.
Thank you for watching Monster Garden's Nectar for the Gods video. This is the line that will bring a quality level to your crop you have not seen before without compromising yield. Check out these products at our online store using the link below the screen.